about cognitive domain, we'll be focusing on this cognitive domain, and there are different levels. So first one, if you look at the animation, that's me right there when I was a student from elementary school to high school, trying to remember.
You got it here?
I'm just giving an example.
Oh, sorry.
Trying to memorize everything, try to recall information. Throughout my high school experience, when we have exam, Benjamin Bloom he was really right. Like 95%, I would say more than 95% of the questions are just recalling and recognition of specific information. So the verbs, the action verbs, we will see recognizing, listing, a lot of listing, a lot of describing, naming, finding, and identifying. Next level, understanding, and it's even and grouped the understanding. We give the story and we try to understand whether we understand the story or not through comprehension questions. And the verbs we will see interpreting. The students will be able to explain in their own words whether they understand or not. Otherwise, it is just pure recalling the information. Or they should be able to summarize the information or paraphrasing in their own word, explaining, classifying their or about understanding. The next level is applying. Like we discussed earlier about the quote, what we know is not enough. We should be able to apply what we learn in the real life situations. So the students should be able to implement, apply, solve, and use the information they know in different problems, and they should be able to predict what's going to happen next. And another domain, analyzing.
Yes, so we also have analyzing. So we have the children there. I'm sure they're having fun playing with the leaves, but I'm sure maybe they're organizing them into the different colors. Maybe they're comparing the different colors. Maybe they're differentiating between the different colors of leaves and different shapes of leaves. They're arranging them, having a good time, so breaking down the information and evaluating. You know, a lot of times yes, exactly, and that's a great point, and that is a point. You know, is that too cold? You know, is it warm enough to jump in? They're judging, testing the water to see if it's ready, you know, for them to dive in and go swimming and have fun. So, you know, I think a lot of times we do so much of the evaluating and we don't really give our students a chance to really evaluate for themselves. A lot of times, through peer assessment, I find students get really interested and really intrigued and motivated when they have an opportunity to evaluate each other, maybe a project they've done, or a demonstration they've done in front of the classroom. So that's a way where, just one very short example of how students in my classroom kind of get, you know, excited when they get a chance to share their opinions on what their fellow classmates have done. And then we have creating. That's one of the funnest ones. We've been doing that a lot the last couple of weeks, having a great time doing that. Putting together ideas, creating something new, making something new, producing something different. Okay, designing, inventing, constructing. If you're in the arts, someone like Mr. Martin, you love to do this all the time. Okay, paintings, all different, and there's so many different ways you can do this. And you can do this in any subject, as Dr. Indy so rightly pointed out, even with subjects like math, even with subjects like language arts. There are ways to create a new story. Okay, create your own problem and create the ways to solve it. Okay, there's so many ways that students can do this. If it's in music, creating a song. Okay, creating in art, obviously, this seems a lot more simpler, right? Create a picture, create a drawing, create a painting, create a pot. Okay, so many ways to create. And this is where the students really get pumped up. This is where they really get involved and really get engaged and really get motivated. What I found when we get them to this point. But it doesn't mean that you don't need the others, right? You need that basic foundational knowledge. You need that basic foundational understanding. We in no way negate the lower levels. It's called lower levels. LOTS, right? Lower order thinking skills, and HOTS, higher order thinking skills.
Which is another dichotomy, which is also a false dichotomy, I might add. Because again, it implies that, we say we want to get the kids into the HOTS, which means that we shouldn't be doing the bottom one, which it's another false dichotomy. So David makes an excellent point. Yeah, you need all of it. They need to have clearly they need the bottom three so they can get to the top three.
Yeah, I mean, if you try to do the HOTS without the LOTS, then you have not. Okay, you don't. Okay,
get that tape recorder working and get that one on there.
So we need everything. Okay, we need that foundation to continue to build on, get them to this point. And there are numerous times where we have to come back around to foundation again, strengthening that, reviewing it, spiraling back, okay, and reviewing and then building back up again.
Can I tag a point on what you're saying, Dave? Because I want to go back to something to Gaia's question earlier about how do we bring in some of these things because they're difficult to do. And I find that with the creating idea, one of the easiest ways to get there is to spin something. What I mean by that is take an activity that you've already done and put a little twist on it, and all of a sudden you've got a creating activity. Let me give you an example. Sometimes my kids do word puzzles. They like doing them, they're kind of fun to do, and they just do a word search, right? They're searching words. So what I'll do is I'll take a word search and I give it to them and they're happy because I get to do something that they're relatively easy and fun and they like to do it. Now, of course, that's really only the bottom sort of level of the taxonomy. Again, dangerously using the word bottom, but it's the sort of the last two of the skills. But then you go and you just spin it. I'll say, okay, once you've done, there might be 25, 30 words. I'll say, pick out five words and make up a real silly story about it. And they'll have fun. They have fun with that. They like it. They're imaginative. But it's a creativity. It's something that makes something new out of it, right? So often you can take something. You can do that in math as well. You take a problem and then say, okay, now I want you to write your own problem for some kind of situation you might face at home, maybe with money or something, right? And so you jump right to the top level by just spinning something, just tweak something you're already using. You don't have to make a new activity. You can often find a way to do that.
And going a little bit back to evaluation, what's one of the ways that Dr. Andy gives us a chance to evaluate one another?
Reflections.
Reflections. I mean, what a fantastic way to do that, right? Every week we have the opportunity to go back and evaluate one another and offer feedback. So we have that opportunity continually, and we like that. And then Dr. Andy feeds back on what the feedback we've given to each other. Because we're all in this together, right? And we're all feeding back to each other, and we're all building each other up. And so that's one practical way that he does this every week, all the time, throughout the week. It's an ongoing process that's so beneficial to all of us. And there's nothing more special than going online and seeing those reflections, and there's so many positive things in there. And having the opportunity to share our knowledge back and forth, and evaluate with each other what each of us have done. So we're doing these kind of things, right, on a weekly basis, even on a daily basis. Well, we're gonna skip right to the quiz because we're running very low on time. So we're gonna check our understanding a bit, and we were gonna break it up into some groups, but for the sake of time, we'll just go through the quiz, and feel free to shout out an answer or see what you think the answer is. Let me just bring this up here. Okay, now we have 12 questions, and we'll have to go through these a bit quickly. So let's go to question 1, and let's see how we do. And maybe you want to discuss with a partner in a little bit, someone next to you. What was the central focus of Bloom's life work? The central focus of Bloom's life work. Okay, I hear a lot of B's. Okay, let's see if you are correct. You are correct. Nice job. Okay. Which of the following is not a benefit of Bloom's taxonomy? In the way of someone.
C.
Okay, I hear a lot of C's. As soon as we heard it over here, everybody joined in. Okay?
Keep saying that.
Okay, here's a hypothetical situation. Teacher wants your students to compare and contrast these folk tales. Which level of thought?
Analyzing.
Okay? Okay, so far so good. Great. Another hypothetical situation. Ask your students to classify items in their diagram, living or non-living. What level is this?
Evaluating.
Okay, here's some different answers here. And these are tricky. These do get tricky because they all are very similar and interconnected. So let's go to 5. How has Bloom's taxonomy changed from its original version? So sorry, I'm going to wait here.
Terminology.
B.
Okay, I hear a lot of B's.
A.
You're on a roll. She's getting all these here. Okay. Students in this class have been asked to research an article and summarize it. At which level do you think this is? Just summarize it. Okay, they're clapping even before we answer. The students are asked to list every possible way to answer the math word problem, and then choose the best method for solving it and defend their answers. Okay, what level is this? Okay, definitely I hear evaluating. Okay, which 2 dimensions are used in the taxonomy table? We didn't talk about this too much. We just touched on it just a bit.
A.
Okay, I heard A, I heard B.
A.
Okay, A or B? Try A. Definitely on a roll over here. Getting all of them. Okay, Mrs. Andrews assigned the following tasks. Place them in order from lowest to highest.
Hey, I'm getting ahead. It's almost 8:30.
B.
Okay, Olivier says B.
Thank God for that. I was getting a headache, thank you.
This is a good one. How does the revised taxonomy differ?
He uses verbs instead of nouns.
Okay.
Oh.
All of the above. All of the above. D.
Okay, and another hypothetical situation. Okay. Olivier says D. You know what that?
That's fine.
That's correct again. The last one. Okay. The original, and this is something Zarni talked about way back in the beginning of the presentation. The original Bloom meant for the purpose of. Okay, I heard A. I think I heard mostly A's. That is correct. Okay. Nice job. All right, we've got about 2 minutes, so I think we need to wrap up here.
More.
We would love to share with you more. Actually, I really want to get to my football example. I'm football crazy. I have a Chelsea example in here, how we can apply Bloom's to teaching football, just as an example. And Zarni had another wonderful activity planned for us at the level where she's teaching grade 1 students. But unfortunately, our time is up. We thank you for listening to us today, but mostly we thank you for not just simply listening, but you contributed. You were part of the presentation. You added to everything by your comments and your suggestions and your feedback and doing the activities. This presentation was all of us together. And that's the way it has been every week. And I think that's why Dr. Andy has structured it this way, and that's why we're all learning so much from week to week from each other. So sorry we can't get through the rest, but we really appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit with you and learn from you and with you. And we hope you enjoy it. Thank you.